first thing, put your springs on, whatever springs on, just to basically stabilize the carriage. I'm gonna try and breathe here. Yes, yes. Now you can use the feet on the foot pad, or you can use them on the carriage. You can even put them up on the foot bar, whatever feels comfortable for you. But basically, we'll start seated on the lip, so right on the front edge, right? Yes. So this is very similar to working with the spine corrector. You would take just that simple posterior tilt. Bring your feet together, let the knees open to shoulder width, and just posterior tilt only as far as you can go without the bottom sliding back and down, right? Working in that controlled range. Of course, the material, yeah, so going back, so you want to have those sits bones in front. Yeah. So you're keeping your sits bones in front, that's right. And then, of course, bringing them to parallel, playing with staying in that C curve, adding any sort of marching variations, and playing with arms and potential rotation, right? So all the variations that you can come up with there. Then we come to the back. We come with the hips into the well. Slide down the slide. Now we begin with just roll backs. Rolling back, articulating through the spine, nodding the chin, rounding and rolling all the way. Find that articulation, yeah? Roll back. And rise all the way up. Now, do you guys know, probably not, American TV shows? Vanna White. So, Vanna White, do you know who Vanna White is? Wheel of Fortune. Oh, the girl flips that, huh? And she says, a new car, trip to Hawaii. Okay, so Vanna White, right? We Vanna White to the right, and we Vanna White to the left. Basically just a quarter bow. To the right, articulating through the right side back body, and to the left side back body. And then, of course, as you would with any short box series, right, could you bring the hands to the head? Bring the body forward, start to play with, so keeping the ribs plugged in. So again, not letting lumbar sneak into this mix. Play with thoracic rotation. Feeling front body drive forward, side body drive backward, or adding a little bit of flexion as you roll from side to side. Flexion in that direction, yeah. Right, so either spiraling on that line of your spine, or coming over to it, exactly, yeah. Then we would take a little rotation, coming down on the right, center, up on the left, down on the left, through the center, down, and up on the right. Now, think about not just the articulation through the spine and the mobility through the spine, but now also what are the sits bones and the sacrum doing? So plug your sits bones into the lip. So playing with a little bit more of that neutral alignment through the pelvis. Keep your sits bones plugged in as we lay back, and pause in that supported thoracic extension or full spinal extension. Plug your sits bones into the lip and then roll back up. So it's just very subtle, a little more connection into the psoas, right, and the pelvic floor. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah? So then here, in full extension, could be march. Keeping the pelvis still. Let's come into a supported neutral. So not the chin subtly, come up. Knit those ribs into the waistline. So we're supported in that neutral, hips and ribs in the same plane, chin up, chest open, we march. And then supported into that flexion. So the rib cage comes off, but we're still in that C curve, and we march. Now, could we at any point turn that march into teaser prep? Yeah. Yeah. Fully. Whatever, right? Yeah. Okay. So there's that series. Now, change your spring so that you've got 2 reds and a yellow. Bring your foot bar to the position 3. Could you do this in position 2 or position 1? Yes. bring your feet to a Pilates feet. So what we're going to do is arrive up in this position every time we fold in. We're going to lay back as we extend, now the chin and rise up, articulate through the spine. So hands can be in any position, right? Playing with any variations, but essentially foot and leg work, moving in and out of that supported teaser. Yeah? All the different positions, right? Yeah, playing with all of the choreography possible. Now, you can leave the springs as they are. You can adjust them a little bit lighter if you'd like. I generally go to actually a red and a yellow or a green and a yellow. We're going to turn sideways. Now, again, all the variations. Foot bar in position 3 or position 2. Start with your toes in the front, forearm on the box, right? Forearm on the box, yes? And so we bend and press here, just trying to maintain that neutral. Then we turn it out. Press, yep. Take the toes to the bar, bend and press. Keeping those hips stacked. Now, bring it back to parallel. Lay the body over, stack the head on the hand, elbows pointing opposite directions. Now we press and bend, maintain that neutral. Bring your left foot forward, Gabrielle, so that you're working in the range that you can maintain, heel staying plugged into the bar, chin up, chest open, neutral spine. Yeah. Now turn it out. Not super heavy, but again, we would be playing with choreography here. And then toes as well. Now here, we're going to take it into pressing out and rising up. Take it into a side bend towards the bar. Articulate down and bend the knee and stand. Beautiful. Press out and rise up and over and bend and come in. Side bend and down. Now, come up halfway and hold and pick up that bottom leg. And just pulse up that bottom knee. So left leg is fully extended, right adductors. So feel right adductors and left obliques, yes? Whether the leg is turned out, whether the leg is parallel, whatever, yeah. Try a little parallel for you. Yeah. Move that foot forward.
I don't feel so locked lately.
Scoot it forward more. And then see if you can drive into a little less of that supination of the foot. So feel just a little bit of that E version of the ankle. Really lights up through the lateral system, but then you also get the adductor to the oblique, yeah? Which is, adductor to oblique is anterior oblique spine, and then lateral system, yeah? So, just to make sure we don't walk in circles, let's do the other side. So, forearm down. Again, could you be playing with hand weights here? Could you be playing with mini bands on the thighs? Yes. Could you play with all sorts of things? Tossing a ball.
I feel like this is really good for having
it's very supportive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you would load it up a little bit more, but you'd be amazed even just the Yeah. When there's some of the movements that are very supportive to regress movements, and then again with the availability of supported in the opposite direction, you have the option to progress, right? So you can go in both directions. So from here, we would find that halfway point where the ribs are plugged in, but we're engaging and finding that lateral flexion, and then we bring the bottom leg. Say again? Depends on your bone structure, how much meat you have there. But often if there's a difference in strength or mobility than the comfort of the pelvis. So you can always put a towel or something there to give yourself a little cushion. So, sideline. Yeah? Okay. So, take the lip out, and similar to what we did with stomach massage today and the box, supported stomach massage. We'll move the foot bar down. Actually, with this second here, I would keep it up. What feels right for you? Yeah, I have position 3. But again, just find what feels right for your hips. So we'll start with the hands down, press. Feeling, sorry, I have 2 reds and a yellow. 2 reds and 1 yellow. Again, you might go heavier, but we feel that C curve, plugging the sacrum into the arc, fingers at the front. Try to feel all 5 metatarsals and pads of the toes on the bar. Keep those heels glued together. Yeah? So then we have our neutral. Hands can come back, lift to the heart, or we come right into here, or hands up and out. No heel drop, just. Now, the fun part is now that we have this arc behind us, come into extension and back up. Come into extension and back up. Now, what breath pattern? What? It's nice to have that. Yes. So what? Well, that's what we do. But what breath pattern supports extension? Inhale, supports extension. So we would inhale and exhale to come up, because the exhale helps to stimulate the front line activation. But also, are we recruiting extension to find that lift here? So you could switch, or you could move slow. Right? Chew on it, right? Play with it. So that's an extension piece, but then of course also just, again, support to plug into to take the rotational component. Yes, and then of course, because you've got feedback behind you, you can really feel as you take that rotated single leg, keeping your sacrum plugged in evenly. Yeah, feels nice. It's lovely feedback for stomach massage. No, once we come into neutral, you're sitting tall, but your sacrum is still plugged back. So now you're up on. No, you're not down in the C curve. So again, bar height will dictate, right, what kind of range you have. Hamstrings will dictate what kind of range you have, but you'll adjust the bar height for that. So now, like we did yesterday with the short box, keep your springs where they are. Scoot your bottom way forward. Remember the semicircle that we did? The semicircle.
Oh, with the shoulders.
With the shoulders on the short box.
Pick up your hips here.
So from here, you want your shoulders on the front side of the peak of the arc. Hands are going to come down to begin, because it is very important that the head is supported, but also we want to make sure that we're not sliding beyond the arc. So I would swing forward even more. A little bit, yeah, forward. Bottom off the. So from here, so again, yeah, you've got your feet in the right place. Now remember, Pilates B is only 1 fist apart. So narrower, so that you can get all toes and metatarsals plugged in. So from here, we take, rise up into the bridge. Now just hold, hands are down, chin is up. Now, maintain that lift of the hips, press out and in, just bridge with extension. Fingers press down and the arms really press back into that arc behind us. Yeah? Feels nice, doesn't it? We get this nice elevation. Now from here, take the arms up. Push the head back and down like you're squashing a bug with the back of your head and press. Now if it's too much to bring low, adjust. Yeah. So you've got to scoot your body way forward and push those shoulders in. Now from here, we're going to extend the spine. So again, thinking about that thoracic extension. So not semicircle, just bridge work. From here, push the head into the arc, extend the spine from the thoracic torso, lead with your sits bones down, push the head as if you're trying to hold the arc in place with your head pushing down to the floor, and then drive your hips back up. We inhale to come down, feel the sternum lengthen, exhale to drive the hips up. Now, the right arm reaches towards the tower. Inhale, sits bones lengthen to the carriage. Exhale, float it back up. Now, left arm. Inhale, reach in opposition, both bottoms, come up. Now, from here, both arms reach overhead. Inhale, lengthen those sits bones down. Exhale, bring them back up. Now, roll down through the spine. Let the carriage come in and reset. Hands down, heels on the bar. Scoot those shoulders down and reset the body if needed. And we do it again. Inhale. Heels lined up with the sits bones. We try to stay as parallel as possible. Rise up and find the top of that bridge. Once again, in parallel, we press out and in. Now, what do we do in bridge? We bring it to single leg, right? We have fun. Now from here, sweep your arms to the ceiling, both heels on, line up with the sits bones. Now, come in and hold with the arms towards the sky. We're going to look for thoracic rotation here. So once again, head is pushing back and down into the arc. We're going to spiral the hips to the left, lengthen, and just let the left bottom come down and tickle the carriage, and float it back up. From the thoracic spine, rotate to the right, lengthen, and let the right sit bone or glute tickle the carriage and float it back up. Now, as the left bottom comes down, take the left arm overhead, push the head back into the arc, and float it back up. Right bottom, right arm, head presses back and down, wake up those cervical and thoracic extensors. Now, left bottom, right arm, inhale, and exhale. Now, right bottom, left arm. Inhale, push that head back and down. And exhale, float it up. Now, both arms overhead. Inhale, sits bones, drop down. Exhale, float those hips up one more time. Inhale, down. And exhale, up. Last time, all the way down. Circle the arms around the outside. Nod your chin. And hug those knees into the chest. Sorry, I can't see you. The lights have blinded me. What did you say? Yeah. Whole back line. But it's good. We need it, right? So there's that. So now let's take it this way. So could you do that whole series of what we just did with the arc facing the other way, so that you have the long slope to support you, right? So for prenatal modifications, right? So you're supported, right, so that you're not flat. So never is your head below your heart, right? Similar to how you had us on the foam roller today, right? It's a supported position, but you can actually access that neutral a little easier. You can take the jumping series, foot and leg work. I wouldn't do it with the arc the opposite direction, but with this direction, could you grab the straps, right, and do your arm work? Yeah. This is a supported teaser. Take your
act like a ball or foam roller.
Correct. Yeah, anything that would prop you up in that supported position. How many arcs do we have? Six. So
That's good.
that's decent, right? Now, if you straps are off, take your whatever. You can leave your springs on. Just move your gear. Move your gear all the way in and leave your foot bar up in the position 3. Now, you can lay your back down. There must be enough spring load on so that you're not moving. But what we're going to do is set the hips on the arc and the feet or the back of the heels, back of the ankles plug in, and we can take these supported. I would also do it the other way. It's my body better. You have to take the straps off. Oh. That's okay. I did it 50 times myself before I remembered. Oh yeah. The straps stop it from moving.
So how many? 2 reps?
So yeah, I have 2 reps in the ankle, but really it's just about not moving the carriage together. So turn your arc around that way so that the big one faces you. Yep. That's a little more supportive, don't you think? So now we can plug those feet in. Now what of this access? When those feet are hooked under the bar.
The back chain?
The back line, yeah, for sure, right? And we would play with swimming.
Would you press it on it or just against it?
Just against it. You can, but yeah, more the back line by just plugging up into it. Yeah, and again, whatever variations you would to play with here, adding lateral flexion, adding rotation, right? So from here, side bending airplanes, rotating, right? Keeping it all lit up. And then of course finding your balance point. I would take the foot bar out of the way, but balancing.
This is the.
Yeah, for sure, grasshopper. That's actually a little more grasshopper.
Yeah.
Right?
Or doing that in a single leg.
Yeah, for sure. Single leg kicks, double leg kicks, grasshopper. You familiar with grasshopper?
You dive.
So, come grasshopper with us. So you place your hips on. Your hands are going to slide. You need to make sure that your thighs and your hips are at the peak of the arc. So from here, you'll begin with a kick, point, and stretch, right? Then we lift up, and we rock. Up, and we rock. So your arms are bracing. And then at the top, you click. Either heel clicks or 1, 2, 3, stretch, and rise up. Up, 3, 2, 1, stretch, and rise up. Grasshopper. So let those hands slide back enough so that you won't come up. Yeah, it gets stuck. Grasshopper, yep. And then rise up. Yeah, I might even scoot back a little bit. Yeah, then you can brace with your arms a little more. Yeah, and lift your heart. Yep. Grasshopper. Could you do that facing the other direction? Using the foot bar? Yeah, right? Holding on. So you would want to make sure you have enough spring resistance. You don't want the carriage bouncing. So whether you're doing that, right, if you're teaching grasshopper, or you're hoping to teach grasshopper on the box, to do it on the arc is a lot more supportive than it is. Now, who would we teach this to, right? Not so much a group. This is more private clients, right? Well, not only that, most of the super advanced exercises you're not doing in a group environment. it's just not safe. You can't spot everyone. Yeah. You can't spot everyone, so.
So the goal of this is to like
The goal is to use the back chain, that whole back line, while keeping the front line actively supporting. So you want those elbows in just a little bit, so that, again, you're connecting into that serratus, right? So that you're waking up that anterior oblique spine to help support you from the front line. Yep. Now, legs up high. Now bend the knees and click the heels together. 3, 2, 1. Stretch them long and rise up. And again, dive in. 3, 2, 1. And rise up. That's right. Yeah.
I was looking
Yeah, I mean, even here, teaching the swimming series, right? Find your balance.
But that you could do it.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So just a more advanced version here because of the balance piece compared to swimming on the box as you would do in a group.
That's good.
Just lay over. Most of the time, when I use the box in class, it is more of the arc in class, it's more of that feels wonderful, right? Now, teaser work. Now, we talked a little bit about teaser prep when we were doing the spinal mobility work at the beginning, but think about definitely not all of your springs. So, what do we say? Let's say a red. On its own? Yes, for sure. I mean, even. Yeah, kind of, for sure. As long as it's in a position that it's not in a tip, right? Because the arc does help to stabilize it so it doesn't tip. If you're sitting up on top and their hips, right, it'll tip it, yeah. Well, I mean, if you were standing behind the tower or standing in the well and had it on the floor and hanging on to the vertical risers of the tower, you could do foot work on it, like calf stretch type work, or even squat work. We'll go through that in a minute. So set your hips forward, let the arc support you, bring it into just a tabletop and do your supported teaser work, right? Even your salutes. Yeah? She's like, yes. Right? But all of the teaser work. Now, also, supported teaser. So, again, the box can be, or the arc can be facing in either direction, but the more advanced version of the teaser is here. What?
Because you don't have as much support.
Because you don't have as much support, exactly. Here. So, playing with teaser work here. So now we're utilizing that front line and back line.
Just a little slap.
Right? And even
Like,
right, yeah. So barely supported, but supported rowing.
but I find this like lift going up does feel like support though.
Mm-hmm.
More than a box sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's why the curves are what they are.
Like this,
Yeah.
like you feel like you can go.
You feel like you can go down into it. I would lighten the spring a little bit for the full range, but you can go into extension here because you are supported. Yeah, you are supported. Yeah. It really is. Yes. Well, and so on that note, right? Imagine you have the jump board in, right? You're doing sideline jumping. Jumping. And it's giving you more feedback, right? So that you can feel whether or not your hips are rocking, right? Because you feel where you're plugging in to the box or to the arc, right? So you can feel what's happening. Same thing, supported teaser jumps. Teaser jumps, right? Single leg, teaser jumps. It's more stable. It's more stable for sure. Right? When you're teaching, and you can modify the challenge, right? You can have them starting in the maximum teaser, right? Sitting up tall in that neutral with their sits bones just plugged in, or you can have them really far forward and have their ribs plugged in, right? And jump more in that supported hundreds curl position. Or somewhere in between, supported neutral, but just coming into the hundreds curl piece. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a little more advanced, and you have to be careful that they're not using their head for their neck for momentum. But absolutely. Now, there also is the piece, right? The arc. I'm going to set it here and throw it away in a minute, so I'll put my mask on. But the arc is used for instability, right? Trying to find where is that balance point. So could you potentially, now, safely, don't step. What do we have here? Right? Right? So hard with that opposite, right? But so, yeah. Could you put your feet on? Yes.
Like you stand on this?
Well, how deep do you want to travel into the mind of crazy Pilates people? Right? So we start here. That's not centered, but you get the idea.
More on one side a little bit.
Right. So trying to not wobble as I am wobbling. You can tell I have a torn meniscus on that leg. I don't trust it.
And you have to do something on one side and on the other side.
For sure, 100%. You have to.
You're fighting the balance point, but it's not in the middle.
So let me just say this, if you are standing on it, hands are secure, you step into the center, and then you walk your feet out. Like a bosu, for sure, right? Who needs to do more of these? I do. Yes. So, this is just foam. Now, in the mat environment, right, these are also supported to rock here. Now, you could, on the tower, for sure, take a whole series. Now, in the mixed programming, when we use this as an arc, as its own apparatus, we use the arc as a spine corrector, that would be something that you do on the tower, setup on the tower as mat. But for reformer programming, we're not going to use this on the floor, right? Like I just did back there and over here, only when it's on the reformer, using it as an accessory to the reformer.
So when you're rocking, it's again for the posterior chain.
It's posterior chain, but it's also how do we organize the front so we're not just collapsing into it as we access that back line, right? We're keeping that activity through the front line. We're keeping the ribs knit in, whether you're using glutes to fire up through the posterior oblique sling, or you're using something to squeeze into to help fire up through the anterior oblique sling, right? You're utilizing other systems to help support that back line as well. Yeah.
Because the back line can't really work without. Unless you're like really relaxed. I mean, I feel like the like tension you need.
If you're lying on your belly and you pick up your head, like that's pretty relaxed everywhere and like in the back line, but that we don't want to encourage the back line to work independently against gravity. Yeah, to activate that back line. Yeah. Because when it all comes down to it, right, it's all about how do we walk, right? How do we get across the room? How do we get through the world, right? So we're using anterior oblique posterior oblique, we're using the back to stop us from falling forward, and we're using the lateral system to stop us from throwing a hip out every time we take a step.
That's what I meant to say in like kind of wrap ups, just like what Pilates is for.
Right. Not to do amazing tricks.
No, exactly.
It's
just like
to
it's so you or like feel your spine throughout your day and like reach for something and you'll be like, it's the same thing we did in class, you know. If you don't have a strap, but you're still reaching for something without it being your elbow that's going for it or whatever. Like that it is like functional.
So remember I said I forgot to teach you guys something, part of my series for the class today. Let's do it. Supported on the sideways, and we'll start with one red. Take a blue one button, see how that feels. And then if you want more resistance, we can go from there. What's the blue on the button?
And this one?
Yeah, sideways. Not up against the shoulder pads though, so centered on your carriage. And take the hump of the peak of the arc just a little bit back so it's in line with the back shoulder pad. Yeah. And then put your straps on the pegs. Oh, we are not in second gear. Move to third gear. Okay, so on the box, this can be in either long box or short box. We face sideways and we sit in a teaser position. And the arc, we have the support of the arc. So just be careful as you take a seat that you are, or maybe even move it back a little farther. But make sure that you're not letting that lip fall off the edge. Scoot it back just a little bit more. Yeah. And the only challenge with, maybe scoot it back a touch more. The only challenge with side facing is you don't want toes in each other's faces, right? So keep them plugged in. Now we're going to start with here, hand closest to the foot bar down on the arc. We're going to start with a little internal rotation and external rotation. So thumb leads the way to the opposite hip. Try to stabilize that elbow. So hand in, thumb leads the way down. Inhale, open. Exhale, rotate. So pronate the palm as it comes across. So thumb down, there you go, and supinate as it opens. Now from here, palms face each other, hug a tree. Now come forward and hug a tree under your legs. Try to keep those hips plugged in. Right? Now bring the right hand into the strap and the opposite hand. Are you? Yeah. So right hand into the strap, left hand onto the shoulder pad, and our shoulder rest. We rotate. Supinate as we externally rotate. Pronate as we internally rotate. Scoot your arm back. It's rubbing on the frame. And then from here, we come into draw the sword. There we go. Side facing teaser, hug a tree, and draw the sword with rotation. Yeah? Yeah. And so, in order for it not to scoot, those feet have to be high. right?
Tires.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, could you do your hubby tree overhead, right out in front, down below, adding more mobility with it, reaching across?
You can do like that.
Absolutely.
That's
Or pull with the, just with the, yeah, like, we have the tennis show?
We did both. We did
Oh,
try
yeah.
the sword.
Yeah.
The discs.
What about passing the road?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pass the road.
Pass it.
So why aren't you doing that?
Tag. You're right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the rotator discs, do you have rotator discs?
yeah.
For them, yes. So when you are side facing though, if you try to pull, you're gonna spiral. Right? You'll just spiral the body on the disc, which is great as well. So I think that concludes it, my friends.
Well, thank you so much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope you enjoyed.
Very.
And
This
I.
is the shop I want.
Yeah. So.
It gave you a lot of
Mhm.
like I don't think
Uh, the adductor piece, yeah. Well, like I said, it's what I was teaching today was truly meant to inspire.